It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports, Pete.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at a stop. I thought I was fine, and then once I got home, I realized it's a lot worse than I thought. I ended up having a ruptured disc. You say you're not hurting, and then an hour later, you're saying you're in all this pain. I just felt like most people would think that I was lying. And that's when I decided to call Daniel Stark. I owe a lot to Daniel Stark. They really got me what I deserved.
The difference is stark.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference because my stress level when we shut down to afterwards was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning, so we love Extraco.
Tervis is all about staying hydrated with style and durability. You can trust Tervis tumblers to keep your drinks the perfect temperature, hot or cold, for hours. From the classic insulated tumblers to sleek stainless steel water bottles, each product is built to last and comes in endless designs to match your personality. Stay refreshed and express yourself with Tervis. Visit tervis.com today and find your perfect tumbler.
Since our founding, we've been revolutionizing hair removal with cutting-edge technology and a commitment to empowerment. The U-Like Air 3, launched in 2023, ushers in a new era of sapphire ice cooling technology, offering nearly painless hair reduction in just 3 weeks. Experience the future of hair removal today at ulike.com, because at Ulike, beauty is about looking and feeling good. That's ulike.com. Ulike. With Ease US, make studio quality voiceovers for your videos online in over 149 languages and dialects, featuring 468 natural AI voices. Customize the volume, mood, and pauses to perfectly match your content. Plus, capture high quality videos with no watermark. Record your screen, webcam, and voice, and save them instantly to your computer. Never been easier to create professional grade videos and voiceovers. Try it today at easeus.com. That's EASEUS.com. Ease US.
Just use AMP-Pace.
AMP-Pace.
It is the Pete Sousa Show. We are back at home, baby. My brother just sent me, he actually called me, and he said, hey, I just want to let you know I got a coworker in here. I'm showing them yesterday's episode, and it looks like goddamn Wayne's World. I said, hey, look, Mike, we were on the road yesterday, okay? We do what we do, okay? We gotta keep the content coming. So now this is no longer Wayne's World. This is Rogue Media, baby, all right? We are housed in the friendly confines here at the Alico building on the 21st floor, where we say thank you to Slovacics and Crawford Austin Properties. And, of course, we love to thank our friends at Daniel Stark Injury Lawyers and Socorro Family Ford, baby. A lot to get to today. Obviously, the NBA last night, Oklahoma City takes care of business. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, just unbelievable. The ratings for Caitlin Clark and the Sky versus the Chicago Sky are in, and they are astronomical. That hit yesterday, and I was thinking, man, I got to talk about this tomorrow. We'll touch on that a little bit and the future of that rivalry and the WNBA season. Also, Baylor played in the Big 12 tournament today. Round 1, they start at 4 o'clock against Oklahoma State, a must-win for our boys on the Brazos. Let's see what they can do. Mitch Thompson and company. And there's a bunch of other stuff we're going to get to. I know that BYU opens with Villanova. I wanted to talk a little bit about that as we look forward in the Big 12 hoops. That was just announced yesterday. That game's going to be played in Vegas. But the thing, I can't shake. Oh, and one other thing, too, and Scotty will be on the lookout for this. At some point during the show, we might get a ruling about the tush push at the NFL owners' meetings. That is literally being voted on right now. And I have an interesting take on that. As an Eagles fan here, it might surprise you. All right, so let's start off, though, where I got to start because it's been on my mind for a while. I've been looking forward to the untold Fall of Favre, the Brett Favre documentary that I watched starting yesterday and then finished watching it last night. Okay, only an hour, really comprehensive topic. Only an hour is not enough, really. There were no brand new revelations in this documentary. Favre did not participate in it. So, you know, you could say if you're like a Brett Favre supporter or apologist, like it was a glorified hit piece. I will say the Jeff Pearlman book, Gunslinger, probably this time last year, I just finished it. I listen to these books. I always wish I could say, oh, I read it. I can't say that. I try to maybe stick to I think at cocktail parties, you should just say oh, I just finished the book. Yeah, I'll say that. I finished it last year, right? That works, Scotty. Maybe I read it, maybe I didn't, but I definitely finished it. And afterwards, or I even think before I started to read the book, Jeff Pearlman, who was obviously the author of the book Gunslinger, made a statement, and Jeff can be a little, he's the kind of guy I would talk to and love up and down every day. Politically, I don't necessarily believe that we totally align, but I don't care. It doesn't make him a bad dude or any less of a brilliant writer. But after the welfare scandal really broke in Louisiana, Pearlman was like, hey, do me a favor. Don't read my book about Brett Favre. He was like, I kind of canonized the guy because he has had such an amazing career on the field. And honestly, off the field, he went through some personal struggles that you could really look at and say, man, this guy is a survivor, right? And when there was a fork in the road with him, addiction-wise, he went the right way, cleaned his life up. But Pearlman was like, with this welfare scandal thing, what happened in Mississippi where there was misappropriation of welfare funds to allegedly build a Southern Mississippi volleyball arena where Brett Favre's daughter was playing volleyball at the time. There was just so much evidence and smoke that Favre had done wrong in that situation. And then that forced Pearlman to sort of expound on what happened with Jen Sturger. And that's what this documentary gets into a lot. Jen Sturger was in 2005. She's at a Florida State football game, Florida State-Miami. And my man Musburger was at it again. This is actually before he talked about, what was her name? Catherine, the quarterback of Alabama. I forget anyways, you know what I'm talking about. When the quarterback of Alabama's girlfriend was spotted in the crowd of the Orange Bowl when it was Notre Dame, Alabama. And Brett Favre said, oh, every young guy in America is outside throwing the football, trying to become a quarterback, basically sort of creepily commenting on how gorgeous she was. And he did the same thing with Jen Sturger 7 years earlier. ABC comes back from break, and they have this picture of Jen Sturger. She's in the front row with the cowboy hat on. Obviously, very attractive young woman. And Brett Musburger says, wow, hey, enrollment just went up 1,500 at Florida State as everybody's online applying. Who wouldn't want to go to school there? But Jen Sturger actually leaned into it. And she was like, hey, that was an opportunity for me. I wanted to get into sports broadcasting. I never really thought I'd have the chance. She was at the very forefront of social media. Apparently, according to this documentary, she was the first person ever to have her Facebook friends maxed out. All this kind of crazy stuff was going on. So Sturger now is sort of high profile, right? She does spreads in Maxim and in Playboy, and then ultimately in Sports Illustrated. She works for SI.com. Well, her path crosses with Brett Favre in 2008, I guess it was. And basically, Favre just like hits on her incessantly and kind of won't take no for an answer. And he hits on her like over the phone, text messages, leaving her voicemails. And then he finally sends her a picture of his, you-know-what, of his thingy. And by the way, like, I don't know why people do that. Look, let's not get into a referendum on that, but I don't think any woman really is dying to see that. Not the most attractive thing on any of us, but whatever. So she gets that, and she was totally spooked. But she doesn't say anything about it, really. I mean, she keeps it to herself, tells a couple friends, whatever. She's doing some work with Deadspin a couple years later, and she's talking to this guy, AJ, I think, Delario, he's a Philly guy, but he was the guy who ran Deadspin. And she mentions this thing. They were talking about players sending pics of their privates to, unsuspecting women, trying to hit on them. And she says, oh, that doesn't even compare to what happened to me. She's telling AJ this. And so AJ, basically, who at the time, he has since said, was addicted to drugs and in a dark place in his life, he actually gets a third party, like a friend of hers, or I don't know how, to get all the information, all the text messages, all the pictures, whatever. And he runs a story. And basically, this Jen Sturger had said, this is off the record, dude. Well, AJ runs the story, Deadspin, it goes crazy, right? And so Brett Favre is being asked, when he played for the Vikings at the time now, he's moved on, hey, what about this? Did you have anything to do with this? The NFL is investigating, and he was just like, I'm not answering any questions. And the dude totally skated on it. The NFL fined him $50,000 for not participating in the investigation. And this is a guy, too, part of the reverence I have for Favre, and a lot of other people do, too, is because he beat, on the field, he was a gunslinger. He gave fans and teams that he played for more than they bargained for. And he was so amazing. And his arm was like a rocket launcher. And I recommend watching the documentary, if nothing else, for the old footage of him playing at Southern Miss and early in the NFL. And he didn't play at all with the Falcons. And part of the reason was, as it was sort of revealed, that like he had a drinking problem. And that turned into a prescription drug addiction, which eventually, reportedly, he totally kicked, which almost makes this Sturger thing a little worse because he's not like a drunk guy. The consequences are consequences, and it's wrong regardless. But it's not like he's wasted sending her these pictures or anything. Apparently, this guy at this point in his life is stone sober, right? And ultimately, Jen Sturger's life, as she put it, like, he ruins my life because this came out. Now she's the woman who got the dick pic from Brett Favre. And Favre just kind of moves on in his life. He's inducted into the Hall of Fame. He's celebrated at every turn. And there had been other stuff about Brett Favre, too, like, obviously extramarital affairs, which is nothing new or sensational for pro athletes, but it's crappy behavior. And it's a bummer, right, especially when it was done so openly. And, again, Favre was married during this whole scandal. And then the welfare thing comes up. And that is like, there's a lot of evidence, and he hasn't been charged yet, but there's like a ton of evidence to say that Brett Favre basically used the good old boy network in Mississippi to get a building built for Southern Miss volleyball. And he knew that the funds were supposed to be appropriated for people on welfare. I mean, and I'm sure there's another side to the story that Brett Favre and his attorneys have threatened just about everybody that has gone forward with trying to prosecute him with this, and then people who talk about it, they get threatened. The producer of this documentary, AJ Perez, got threatened. But you come to the conclusion at the end of this that, like, yo, man, like, these guys, we talk about it, but they're just people. Like, you could basically say Brett Favre is just a dude from Kiln, Mississippi, who did the best he could. And somewhere along the line, the best he could turned him into a complete icon. And when you have that icon status, right, a 20-year NFL career, MVPs, a Super Bowl in Green Bay, right, for the first time since 1968, like, come on, that's Titletown. That is the biggest deal. And he was a fair-haired boy. Everybody loved him, and a nice guy, too. But obviously, like, some decisions that he made were really atrocious. And the last one about the welfare stuff is really awful. And, you know, look, man, Brett Favre went after people. I think he sued Pat McAfee for talking about it. Yeah, he did. He's not going to sue me because he'll never see this. But I love Brett Favre. I want to love Brett Favre. But it's another example that, like, yo, these are people. And, like, when you put these guys on pedestals like that, like, you are setting yourself up to get disappointed. And, you know, there still is, you know, Favre still fights this as far as the welfare scandal. But, like, if that is true, which it looks like it could be, again, like, a lot of evidence says it could be, that's like the bottom of the barrel, dude. To take money that's supposed to be allocated for people that are going through tough times and to allocate it to a gym, that's bad news. And then also there was stuff that Favre was involved in business-wise, like something that would help players or athletes that had dealt with concussions. And apparently some of the money from the state of Louisiana was used to back that. I mean, it's just like some crazy stuff. And, you know, I find myself, it's an internal, like, situation where I, like, don't want to accept that this could be true. I don't. Like, I am that sucker, dude. I am like, this guy is awesome because he's awesome at sports, and I want to canonize him and treat him like the king of the world. And it's just like, dude, it's, especially in this instance, it just doesn't seem like it's that's how it is. And again, like, I met Brett Favre at a preseason game in 2000. I was with my buddy, Jim Nagy, who is now the general manager for Oklahoma football. And Jim and I were partying at the time, and we'd had something to drink. And Jim used to work for the Packers, so we're in the locker room. And Favre was so cool. And you could tell, like, at this point in time, he wasn't drinking. He was like, oh, I can tell you guys are going to have fun tonight. You know, it was just like, oh, this guy's cool. And honestly, as somebody who ended up getting sober, right, 13 years ago, he was one of those dudes that I was like, you know, if Brett Favre can do it, like, come on, man. Like, it takes away the stigma. So a tough situation, a tough documentary. I will say it was not a documercial. If anything, it maybe favored Jen Sturger a little too much. But it was unfortunate to see, like, they show Brett Favre being inducted into the Hall of Fame, and everybody is just loving this guy. And, you know, according to Jen Sturger, her career completely dissolved after this. And I'm sure, like, there's a lot of, like, trauma and stuff for her to have to deal with. I do say, and this may be an unpopular opinion, I mean, if she wanted to, whatever, this is, like, again, like a dicey thing to say, but I think, like, if she was really, really good and really, really kept at it, I don't know that would have stopped her from being the best at her craft, but maybe it did. I don't believe, some people are like, well, what did she expect? She was in Playboy, she was in Maxim, like, she had that sex appeal, like, nah, I don't buy that. Like, nobody asked for that. And so that brings me one more thing about yesterday. I was talking to a buddy of mine just to talk a little bit about RG3 and Ryan Clark. Gosh, it's so much better to be in the studio, isn't it, Scotty? It really is. I'm not waiting for, you know, my mother's physical therapist to come barging through the door. Or my cousin Lori, CIA, by the way, right? Trying to get into the fence to kind of meet my mom for lunch. That was the past couple of days. We were doing the show from home. I told Lori, by the way, well, let's call her Jane. I told Jane, by the way.
Wait. Hold on. This is where I have to chime in. You can't give someone a pseudonym after you say.
We're going to call her Jane, okay?
Okay.
So she's picking up my mom to go to lunch because she's an amazing person. And she's fumbling around. She can't figure out how to get inside the gate. And she came in, and I was like, you're my CIA agent? Like, really, after that display? And she laughed, but she never acknowledges the CIA part, which I appreciate. But no, the RG3 thing, the more and more I take a step back, what Ryan Clark did was bogus. He shouldn't have come at him that way. I was talking to a buddy of mine, black dude with a white wife, and this guy raised by a single mom who was black and was talking like, does that mean that I don't know how black women operate? You know, like he was like, because that's what Ryan Clark is saying. And he also made a great point and said, hey, by the way, like, do you think he would ever say that? Like, MJ's wife is white. Like Kobe Bryant's wife was not black. Like, do you think he would ever say that about them? And that brings me to my point about RG3, that I think as much as, and again, I talked yesterday. I had a wonderful experience with RG3, and he was beyond generous. I volunteered at a football camp of his years ago, and he gave us all cards, the volunteers, for $200 cash, after he'd spent a whole day of his time in the blazing hot sun in Waco, Texas, working with a bunch of kids from McGregor High School for free. And McGregor is not like, it's not like going to school at Highland Park, like those are, it's a tougher area, a little more need there. So like, that was an amazing thing that he did. But I do think like the teammate, not being a great teammate thing is where this comes from. And I think guys in the NFL, Ryan Clark is a reflection of this. I think they think he's kind of corny. I think they don't respect him. And I think that that's why a guy like RG3 gets thrown into this. I'll tell you right now. So I'm reading a book yesterday on the plane. This was something, I shared this with Scotty. And it's a book by Michael Lombardi, right? And it's all about football. It's really good, right? And let me see, what's the name of the book? Let me look at it real quick here. Because I want to get Gridiron Genius. Okay, it was released by Michael Lombardi. Michael Lombardi, football executive, football coach, worked with Al Davis, Bill Walsh. He's a genius, right? He's now I don't know how smart he is now, though. He's working for Bill Belichick again in North Carolina. He's the football general manager there. But anyways, he tells this story, okay, and he's talking about free agency. And this, I just happened to be reading this yesterday, and how when he was working in front offices, Mike Lombardi really wanted to dig into the character of NFL free agents they might sign coming from other teams. And he says this in his book, and I quote, "A recent very high pick," and this is written in, I think, 2017 or 18, "a recent very high pick was dinged by his college teammates. Check that. They flat out hated him. They refused to attend his private workouts, for heaven's sake. But the team that drafted him chose to ignore all that. And today, most of the teammates he's had feel the exact same way his college teammates did." And here's the last line. "Trust me, injuries are not the only reason Robert Griffin III has had such a hard time finding a job." And that's, I think, around the time when RG3 ended up signing with Baltimore, maybe. And I think maybe that's when he played with Ryan Clark. I'd have to check that. But so I believe this whole thing stems out of, it's kind of like not quite as deep as it seems. Like, I just think like Ryan Clark's like, yeah, if I'm going to make an example of somebody to prove my point, like it's going to be RG3. And, there's clearly a little contention between the two of them. And, that's no way to go about resolving a situation like that. But at the same time, I think the more and more I hear, and being around Baylor, being here in Central Texas, there is like, you do hear once in a while that RG3 just wasn't the best teammate, right? And it's not like you have to go mining for that information. What I will say today is what I said yesterday. This is all like sports stuff as far as RG3 is concerned. As a man, as far as integrity, as far as being a good dude, I have no reason to believe that he is other than the person that I had an experience with and that we all read about it. And when it comes to the depth of the guy, he's a good guy. But a little corny maybe, a little selfish in the locker room. And just like Brett Favre, right? Somebody who, and Scotty, you can weigh in on this real quick. When RG3 wins a Heisman Trophy, right, for Baylor in 2011, a kid who played in Copperas Cove High School and then goes on to be, I guess the Washington Redskins at the time mortgaged their future to draft him, right, in a draft day trade. And he has an amazing rookie year. I mean, everything in there is lined up for a guy to maybe lose perspective on success. But for now, Scotty, give me, I guess, an idea of the impact and the celebration that was around Robert Griffin, a Baylor guy, winning the Heisman Trophy at that time.
It was my freshman year of college.
Oh, so you were at school.
So I remember it well. My first football season as a college student was that year.
Okay.
And I have never seen anything like it. I've never seen anything. It was a bigger deal than the Big 12 championships that came a couple years later. It was the culmination of about 15, 20 years of Baylor football being, I think, literally the worst program in Division I college football from a wins-loss perspective. And campus was electric. That this was our guy. I shared with you, I've had a few experiences with him both that year and as an adult since, and he's been delightful. I think it is interesting to consider his reputation amongst the general population or amongst the public or even at Baylor amongst like students and his teachers and anyone in the community that interacted with him.
Yeah.
I think have all had a very positive experience.
Yeah.
You shared your story about the camp.
Yeah.
I think that's a very typical RG3 story. So I think he's a good dude. I think it's also hard to dismiss when there's smoke, there's fire.
Yeah.
What is it like actually working with a dude day to day versus
Yeah.
knowing him at a more distant public
Yeah.
level?
Yeah.
So it's all very interesting. But to answer your question, yeah, I mean he lit this campus on fire in Waco. Everyone loved him.
Yeah.
We had a huge party to celebrate his Heisman Trophy win, me and some friends. And then I remember they did when he was on the cover for EA NCAA football the next year, they did the big photo shoot on Fountain Mall, which is right at the center of Baylor's campus. And had like a huge, like, students came out and gathered around this tent while he's posing and they're taking the photos. And it was like this continually hype thing.
Yeah,
and it was really special. It was a special time to be at Baylor. Yeah,
and that's a window into like the celebration around him. I mean, a different sort of situation, a lot different. But you could compare like breaking that drought at Baylor, having a reason to cheer. Brett Favre in Green Bay, like, oh my God, this guy brought us back to championships, right? Title town.
Yeah.
And I think the one thing about RG3, and we'll put a bow on this topic, is like, he doesn't portray like this selfish image when you see him, right? Like,
not at all.
Like an example I used was like, I'm looking forward. Howard Bryant just released his book on Ricky Henderson, and Ricky was a real character, right? From what I know, but he always referred to himself like, "Hey, Ricky this, Ricky that." Like he didn't remember anybody's name. He was just like in his own little world. And I think that like when you're like that publicly, people are like, "Oh, look at Ricky Henderson. He's selfish. We get a kick out of him. He's a character." You know what I mean? But with Robert, it's like, wait a minute, you're seeing all this over here, right? Like the public eye and the perception is that he's this amazing guy, but he stunk as a teammate in the locker room and at ESPN, according to Ryan Clark. But
according to those guys, yeah.
According to those guys,
yeah. But yeah, man. I mean, it's just hard. People are complicated. He is out of the box. Like he's a weird cat.
Yeah.
Everyone knows this. Like that's public. He owns that, right? That's not me talking crap about him. But I was telling you before we jumped on live. Name a really, really successful, dominant athlete who's not a little bit like into themselves, right? Michael Jordan, that's what made him great, right? Like
ego. We need
you
ego.
talk about that with Caitlin Clark, right? There's a healthy level of ego that superstar athletes have. They know they're the best when they walk on the field on the court.
My bro Kevin, the therapist, used to always say, ego gets a bad rap. Like it's necessary.
Well, yeah, if it causes you to be destructive, it's bad. But if it's just causing you to excel, like that's how the best do it. And so, it's really curious to me. I wish I had better insight into.
No, it's good.
What are the specific instances where it's like, okay, this is a bad teammate, not just this is a guy who knows he's great, or this is a guy who's a little corny and weird. Like, I wish I knew.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And this is like, again, I don't want to go on about this forever, but that's super interesting. Like, we don't have a specific story where he was like a garbage teammate.
Right.
I've
like
heard
there was some stuff that came out of when he was in Washington about like, oh, he talked to the owner about this, or but like let's just like commentators better than us have batted this around forever. When you draft another quarterback 3 rounds later, you were creating tension from the jump when you walked in at Washington, and we know that that's not all on RG3. But anyway.
Yeah, interesting stuff. But I kind of saw a correlation between the two. And remember, we love these guys. They're just people, dude. They're just people. They put on their pants one leg at a time. And if you look over my shoulder in the 80s, those pants, or shorts, I should say, were very short, as you see Larry Bird and Patrick Ewing. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back with why a Philly fan thinks it's time to get rid of the tush push. And we're expecting a word from the NFL to come down here from the owners' meetings at just about any time. And we're going to talk about Caitlin Clark and the WNBA and the absolute heater that it's on and the opportunity that the WNBA just might be missing. Stay with us. Pete Sousa Show, presented by Savacic.
For 75 years, Nalgene Outdoor has been your trusted companion, fueling adventures and helping protect the planet. We're committed to reducing waste, improving access to clean water, and providing simple, safe, and sustainable products for you and your family. No gimmicks, just durable, well-designed bottles built to last. Join us on our mission to amplify life, not complicate it. Because at Nalgene, what goes into our bottles matters as much as the adventures they fuel. Explore more at nalgene.com. That's NALGENE.com. Looking for tickets to the hottest shows, games, and events? Ticket Liquidator is your one-stop shop for great prices, no hassles, and guaranteed tickets. Since 2003, we've been connecting buyers and sellers, providing access to sold-out events at prices lower than most secondary market options. Whether it's sports, theater, or concerts, our massive nationwide network ensures you get the tickets you want, guaranteed. For the best seats at the biggest events, start with Ticket Liquidator today at ticketliquidator.com. That's TICKETLIQUIDATOR.com. Ticket Liquidator.
I'm Hunter, the founder of Hello Cake, and today we're digging into ED meds. The number one thing we hear is that guys are sick of waiting for ED meds to kick in. Traditional ED meds take about an hour to kick in as they have to go through your digestive system, where Hello Cake's ED medication dissolves under your tongue and works in about 15 minutes. That's about 3 times faster than traditional ED medication. Curious about ED meds? Go to hellocake.com.
InMotion is more than just a name. It's a legacy of innovation. From supplying electric vehicle parts like motors and inverters since the 1960s to creating cutting-edge electric scooters, hoverboards, and unicycles, InMotion is shaping the future of mobility. Whether you're looking for industrial power solutions or accessible personal transport, InMotion has you covered. Explore our products and experience the future of movement. Visit store.inmotionworld.com today.
Is your Mac running slow? Mac Booster 8 is your all-in-one solution to clean up 20 types of junk files, remove malware and viruses, and protect your device. It also optimizes your Mac's hard disk, fixes disk permission issues, and cleans memory, all to boost your Mac's performance to the max. Get your Mac running like new again with Mac Booster 8. Visit macboost.net today.
Finding a sleep sack that my baby likes has been a struggle. The sleep sack from Joy is a major upgrade.
It is all natural eucalyptus, which is breathable and hypoallergenic, which is really great for your baby's sensitive skin.
And it's made with Climatac, which regulates your baby's temperature.
You can also get Joy's crib sheets, which are made of the same super soft material.
Joy gave my baby comfort
and gave me peace of mind.
At Mapiful, we believe in celebrating your journey, past, present, and future. Our unique personalized products are designed to boost your confidence, elevate creativity, and honor what matters most. From custom home decor to meaningful gifts, we help you cherish the memories that make you who you are. Visit mapiful.com and start celebrating your story today.
Maud Lily is your go-to for stylish and affordable fashion that fits your life. Whether you're looking for the perfect swimsuit for a beach day, a chic dress for a night out, or cozy tops for everyday wear, Maud Lily has it all. Their extensive collection of swimwear, including bikinis, tankinis, and one-pieces, always keeps you on trend, while their dresses and tops come in flattering styles for every occasion. Visit maudlily.com today.
So if you're watching and you just, were able to kind of just feel the vibes of some of those ads, I want you to keep in mind that if you have a huge business or, you want to advertise with a rocket ship as we continue to take off here, why don't you let us know? And maybe we could eliminate some of those ads in between the segments with some of yours, right? We are presented by Savacic, and no shade on Daniel Stark Injury Lawyers. We love those ads. NFL, quick. Let's catch up on some news and notes. And one major piece of news. Okay, NFL owners. This was yesterday. Passed a resolution, 32-0. This is obviously at the spring meetings that will allow players to participate in flag football during the 2028 Summer Olympics in LA. This is a release from the NFL. It goes on to say a maximum of one player from each team will be allowed to participate, and each club's designated international player is also permitted to take part for his country. And Robert Goodell had a quote, this is good news, and it's a decision that was anticipated since the International Olympic Committee voted in October of 2023 to add flag football to the 28 Summer Olympics, the first games in history. Not long after, the NFL announced it would begin working with the NFLPA to allow current and former players to potentially compete in the Olympics. Since then, a fervor has grown in the hopes that NFL players will quite possibly be able to do this. So that's pretty cool. I mean, you kind of get like a hearkening back to like the dream team, right? I mean, what kind of squad are we going to put together? I know not Stefan Diggs. Who was it? Someone came out and they were like, hey, I can't wait.
Justin Jefferson.
Justin Jefferson was like, I'm so pumped to do this. And you know what's cool? I do think we're going to see a lot of like really, really talented NFL guys, and especially obviously skill guys, because if you look at, like, I know this from calling games, like, and even sometimes in basketball, like when you dig into a lot of these guys' backgrounds, there's a lot of track and field dudes out there who, when they were in high school and maybe even in college, had dreams of being in the Olympics. Now that they have an opportunity to be in the Olympics in another, I guess, realm, right? Not track and field, but still to compete, especially in LA. I would imagine that so many players are going to be up for this, and it'll be so cool to see how this shakes out. My one fear is, you got wide receivers like Jack Besh, right, who just is drafted by the Raiders, and he's getting ready to play. Like, will a guy like Jack Besh lose his job now to like Vitas Jakomowski from Poland? Like, because now we've got like a total global deal going here, right? Like, will we get like possession guys now coming out of Russia that turn into like the best football players ever, like we saw with the NBA? Like, is that possible, Scotty? What are your thoughts on this?
So here's what's interesting, and it kind of has a parallel with NBA versus 3-on-3 basketball.
Yeah.
But I think it's different. Flag football is a different sport. It is a different sport. Like, it is fundamentally the same, but it's not.
Yeah.
So actually, one of the really interesting debates when flag football was added to the Olympics last year was, that very notable flag football quarterback came out and was like, it's embarrassing that NFL players think they can do what we do, which is hilarious, by the way, which is hilarious. Like, if you think Patrick Mahomes can't go play flag football well, that's crazy. But I will be intrigued to see how many NFL guys make the Olympic roster versus guys who have been playing semi-professional and professional flag football. Because it is different. The moves you make are different. The way that you have to be elusive is different. It is different. It is different.
I'm not doubting that.
And I think some NFL guys that will make the Olympic team are not guys who start in the NFL. So, for instance, Shahan, our buddy, tweeted.
Shahan J. Raj, CBS.
I think it was him that I saw tweeted. It was either him or Paul Catalina. It was one of those guys that we've had on the show.
Yeah.
Tweeted, I need the Olympic team to get Deuce Vaughn. Deuce Vaughn, not going to be a starting running back for the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, no.
But with his stature and with his skill set and his ability to shift, could he be the best flag football player from the Dallas Cowboys? Probably. Him or Turpin, right? Like it's just interesting to think about.
That's a great point. And then I got a question for you now. What happens, like, are these guys really going to try out? Like, is Justin Jefferson going to have to try out? Like,
yeah, I do. I think he has to.
But he didn't want to try out. He's Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, I understand that. But I think if you are, and I don't know who it is, we should do our research and come back to this. Whoever's the head coach of the United States.
There's no coach yet.
Whoever's going to be the head coach of the United States Olympic flag football team.
Yeah.
Yes, I think you have to try out these guys, all of them. Put them in flag, because the drills are going to be like, it's not, can you catch a football? Can you run a route?
Yeah.
Yes, Justin Jefferson can do those things better than almost anybody in the world.
All right,
but when you catch the football, can you avoid getting your flag pulled? It's a different skill set. It's a different skill set. It is.
It is. It is.
They do the spins, and they do the other move they do is the dips. Have you watched flag football?
Yeah.
These pros, they're running full speed, and then all of a sudden they drop their hips and do this dramatic dip to the ground because then guys whiff on the flags.
So you're telling me like Jack McMichael from Boise is going to be running circles around Stephon Diggs?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's fascinating. I think that's the most interesting.
It is. Yeah.
I don't know how it's going to play out.
Yeah.
Because in an NFL football game, if you're Justin Jefferson, you're running with the football, you're not suddenly going to stop and drop your hips to the ground like this because the tackler is just going to put you in the dirt.
Yeah, but maybe you have to learn a second
flag,
skill.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Which means there's a lot of work put in. Look, here's another, just some more background. Offense. So this is what they can do, right? And for people who don't know, the quarterback. These are who is on the team, right? Quarterback can only run past the line of scrimmage after first handing the ball off and receiving a lateral or going out for a pass. Center. The center actually can go out for a pass immediately after snapping the ball. Wide receiver in the back, they can line up as either a standard running back or wide receiver. Defense, you got 3 guys as well. A rusher who can rush the quarterback from 7 yards off the line of scrimmage. A defensive back who essentially functions as a traditional cornerback. And a safety who prioritizes defending the pass over the run. Okay, and let's just quickly, some rules, right? Why not? You want to talk about rules?
Yeah, come on.
Okay. The flag football rules. The field is 70 by 25 yards. 40-minute games, 2 20-minute halves, including a 2-minute warning. 4 first downs to reach midfield, and 4 downs, to score a touchdown. So that's interesting. 4 down, reach midfield. What does that mean? You get a first down or something if you reach midfield?
Yeah. So I've played flag football under these rules before. So, yeah, the only first down you can get is at midfield.
Okay.
So wherever you start with the football, you got to get to midfield, and then it resets. You get 4 to go score.
Okay.
Yeah.
No run plays within 5 yards of the end zone, so the tush push is out there. Overtime, if score is tied, with each team getting an equal chance to win. It's already better than the NFL's. All right, now let's check out a possible roster. This was put together by CBS Sports.
Ooh.
Okay? Your number 1 quarterback would be Jaden Daniels. Okay? And he can play running back too. Jahmyr Gibbs would be a running back wide receiver. Justin Jefferson, we talked about him. Jamar Chase.
Yep.
Travis Hunter. Micah Parsons could be one of your rushers. Nolan Smith could be a rusher. Derek Stingley will be a D-back and a safety, and Maxwell Harrison, a D-back and a safety.
Let me give a little Baylor guy a shout out. You know who's probably really good at flag football is Jalen Petrie.
I mean, dude.
I bet Jalen Petrie would be a monster.
I bet he would be amazing. Yeah. And so it's going to be cool to see how this works out because all these dudes are going to. I'd say the number 1, it's the Olympics and it's also LA. So like it's easy, like a lot, like it just kind of fits.
So here's the bottom line too. Whether this is a roster of all NFL guys or a roster of mostly guys who've only played professional flag football, we better win gold in this sport.
Oh, we absolutely.
Because if like Japan or Germany or anyone else were to roll up in here and win gold in flag football in LA, bro, that's bad. That would be horrible. I might just quit watching sports at that point.
Like, think about that. What is like the break glass like emergency on that? Like, do you get like Bill Belichick out of retirement and have?
Well, not anymore.
No, but you get.
He's not even going to keep his job at UNC.
You're like Belichick, man. We need you to coach this team. It's like when USA Basketball bottomed out and they got Coach K involved and like they retooled the whole thing.
Here's where, because I've spent all this time talking about how NFL players may not just automatically adapt to the sport because it's different. Here's where NFL players will just dominate. Travis Hunter can cover any other country's receiver better than anybody else right now. And I bet Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase, even if they don't have all the flag football like juke moves and dips and spins down, they can probably outrun any other defensive back from any other country to the end zone.
I agree.
Right now.
I agree. Like game over, dude.
Yeah.
And
just dude, it's this simple. I don't care if he's going to be old in 3 years. Get Mike Evans out there, and you just run a jump ball fade every time.
I mean,
how is any other country going to stop
How are
that?
you going to stop that, dude?
Yeah.
Yeah. and it'll be interesting, too, to find out, because I don't know about this. But, like, you know, okay, so it's 2025. Will they have, like, in 2026, will they have, like, a qualifier? Or will they – I have no idea. Will these guys get to start learning how to play flag football? We will find out. And, you know, at the end of the day, it's not like this like throwaway deal, like because we think of, oh, it's like a novelty. Hey, dude, it's still a sport in the Olympics. You're competing for a gold medal. You know, that's a huge deal. And it could be a sport in the Olympics for the rest of eternity, you know? So it's there's high stakes here. What are you most excited about for this?
I think just the talking points, man. Like, we're going to get hype when we find out who's trying out, who makes the roster. Like, what happens if, you said Jaden Daniels, I said Patrick Mahomes earlier. What if it just so happens that, like, the greatest flag football quarterback in the world is, like, a bad NFL backup quarterback?
Oh, it'd be amazing.
Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, those talking points are going to be so fun. Like, I was talking to you about Joe Milton this morning. Like, Joe Milton never starts in the NFL again, but then he's the United States starting flag football
quarterback. Or Trey Lance.
Yeah.
You know, a guy like that.
Yeah.
Perfect example.
How sick with Tim Tebow comes out of retirement.
Now we're talking.
Come on, man. Like, it's just going to be funny.
It really is. And so
with.
that'll be a lot of fun as we ramp up to that. One other thing that was fun and that Scotty had talked to me about, and I noticed yesterday, was the WNBA and the ratings for the Sky and for the Fever. I mean, unbelievable. The New York Times, I saw it first there. First of all, the game draw, there it is right there, 2.7 million viewers, right? That is amazing. Beat Mets Yankees on Sunday Night Baseball, right? Like, think about that. That is a huge deal. People are, forget about, we're not going to roll around the mud with, like, not today at least, with, like, that squabble and stuff that went on between Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. But, like, yo, man, like, there's something to that. Like, the rivalry continues to stay energized. So you look at what's going on now. So these teams, one thing you got to remember, they play each other a lot. And it turns out that CBS will be the main benefactor for this, right? The Fever and the Sky play 4 more times this year, as I can tell. And they're going to play on June 7th. And that'll be, I think, that'll be prime time. And CBS owns the rights to that. Now, will CBS put that on CBS Sports Network? Or will they get a bug up their ass and tell Tracker to take a night off? And will they put it on main CBS? I think that will be brilliant. And I think for the WNBA, that would be quite a moment. I have no idea if that will happen or could happen, but it's something I thought about. And then CBS has another primetime event, August 9th at 7 p.m. They got to put that on main CBS. They have to, in my opinion. If you can't put that on CBS Sports Network. If you do, I think you're missing a huge opportunity. And if I was the WNBA, I would be pissed. All right, we got breaking news in here. Tush push, okay? The final vote. 22-10. So that means it will not be banned because they needed 24 votes. I want to make sure I get this right. But that's what Adam Schefter is saying. So there you have it. A ban of the tush push did not receive enough votes at today's league meeting in Minnesota. So the play remains legal. Look, I am an Eagles fan, obviously, okay? That tush push has done a lot for the organization, I guess. I think it's Bush League. I think it's just like, it's a lame excuse for a football play. It reminds me of little kids when you had a team that would run like the swinging gate or some crap that nobody could stop. I think it should be disallowed, and I think eventually it will be disallowed. I think that what was, from my understanding, you really can't, there's not enough injury data to back up why we shouldn't do this, right? But there is data maybe to say that there will be injuries going forward. And that's probably one of the things that they tried to push in that vote, but it didn't go through. And I guess it was the Packers who really were pushing for it. So that makes, here's what I do love. That'll make the Eagles-Packers rivalry even more hated. I love when that stuff kind of comes back onto the field. Look, I'll be fine when the Eagles use it again next year. I think it's aesthetically, it's just stupid. And it's JV, and it's a shame the NFL can't find a way to stop it. Go ahead.
This is so funny. I'm a Cowboys fan.
Yeah.
And I could not disagree with you
more.
Well,
tell me why.
I don't know. I kind of have that old school mentality of this is on every other team for not knowing how to stop it. I think you have to adapt here. I think you have to find your defensive tackles, your linebackers coming over the top. I think you have to find a way to stop this play. The quarterback sneak has been around forever, and it's hard to stop.
Yeah.
Like, people forget Tom Brady was actually one of the GOATs at the quarterback sneak, right, when you need a yard. This is just a natural evolution of that. Jalen Hurts was special at running the football before this.
Yeah.
I don't see it as something that needs to be banned. I think, and here's the other thing I think too. So my perspective as a fan is, even if it looks ugly, it's football. Figure out how to stop it. My perspective for the NFL from an optics perspective, I'm really glad it's going to survive. Only because even if it gets banned next year, I don't think you want to ban this play immediately after the Eagles win the Super Bowl. Because I think that looks optically too much like you're targeting one team that just won. I think that looks bad. I think next year, let's say the Chiefs win again, or like the Commanders break through, or somebody else, then you ban the tush push. I think that already feels a little bit better than you ban it the year after the Eagles win a Super Bowl.
Well, as an Eagles fan, I'll say I think we could be doing. There's a reason why it doesn't work, or other teams don't use it to the degree the Eagles do.
The Bills have used it.
They have, and guess what? It didn't work last year when it needed to work the most, right? In that AFC title game, they didn't get it, and so like the Eagles and Jalen Hurts and that amazing offensive line, like maybe they could be doing this regular, you know?
Yeah, I just think football. The best football coaches, I heard Belichick talk about this actually this past week. The best football coaches adapt to their personnel.
Yeah,
and the Eagles, for 5 or 6 years now, have had the best offensive line in the NFL, including the best center in the NFL. It seems like they might have hit lighting twice and have the best center in the NFL again, right? And the most durable between the tackles quarterback we've seen since Cam Newton, easily, in Jalen Hurts. So you adapt to your personnel. You come up with a concept that works for your personnel. It is on 31 defensive coordinators to figure out how to stop you.
They should have given. By the way,
I don't think it's the league's job to stop you. I think it's those defensive coordinators'
They shouldn't have given Nick Sirianni the extension yesterday. They should have given it to Swingler. I mean, that's pretty good.
I'm in. Let's go. I could use a raise.
By the way, I was listening to Philly Sports Talk Radio driving to the airport, driving to the airport yesterday, and they were all, Sirianni, I guess, is like always late, and so they were waiting for him at the press conference, and he was late like a half hour, 40 minutes, and everybody's bitching like, what could he be doing right now? Like, come on, like it's an extension. I thought that was funny, like like when you're like insulary, you know what I mean? That like tight knit media group that covers the team, like there's all kinds of little stuff like that. I didn't know that Sirianni was always late like that. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. Some college potpourri. Kelvin Sampson got extended by the Houston Cougars. My interesting question there would be, I wonder how that affects the coach in waiting with his son Kellen, because Kellen's next, and that's a guarantee. But we'll dig into that and also some other college stuff. We'll talk to you a little bit about BYU, Baylor, and more. After this break, the Pete Sousa Show rolls on, presented by Slovakic.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at a stop. I thought I was fine, and then once I got home, I realized it's a lot worse than I thought. I ended up having a ruptured disc. You say you're not hurting, and then an hour later, you're saying you're in all this pain. I just felt like most people would think that I was lying. That's when I decided to call Daniel Stark. I owe a lot to Daniel Stark. They really got me what I deserved.
The difference is stark.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference, because my stress level, when we shut down to afterwards, was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning, so we love Extraco.
I don't know, if Bubble wasn't here, I don't know what people would be doing, like making PowerPoints or something. Bubble allows you to make it real and for it to actually work. So I feel like Bubble bridges that gap and being able to give people the opportunity to make their ideas come to life really quickly too. I love that I can sit down and build something the way that I think it should be built and have the control over it.
Bubble turns ideas into fully scalable apps. Try Bubble today.
Hi, I'm Jo from Face Theory. You're going to want to have a specific goal for your skincare routine. What do you want to achieve? Active ingredients are really strong, and if you're using too many at once, your skin can get overwhelmed. Don't overspend on products. Choose products that have scientific research behind them. At Face Theory, if you're not happy with a product, just say so, just give us a shout and we'll give you your money back, no problem.
I know you're gonna love this Kodak Dot Plus printer. You guys just connect it to your smartphone and then you're gonna use the Kodak Photo Print app. It's going to print you a 4x6 photo. I am just in awe. I love how these turned out. Also, the printer comes with a free cartridge of 10 photo sheets. I can assure you, you are going to love this printer as much as my family has. You guys have to check it out for yourself.
Streamline event and appointment booking with Amelia's sleek, modern, and fully customizable booking forms. Tailor the colors, fonts, and design to match your brand and seamlessly integrate with your WordPress website. Whether it's for events or appointments, Amelia makes booking simple, stylish, and perfectly aligned with your business. Enhance your booking experience today at WPAmelia.com. That's WPAMELIA.com. Amelia.
When you learn a language with Babbel, you start a journey that takes you further and further. Anytime and anywhere you wish. It's easy and fun. Broadens your horizons and keeps your brain fit. A journey into new thoughts, new cultures, new adventures. So what are you waiting for? Start your journey with Babbel now. Go to babbel.com or download the app.
BadCreditLoans.com is a pioneering service provider that has carved a reputation in the financial industry for its dedication to helping individuals with bad credit secure loans. By making timely repayments, borrowers can gradually repair their credit history, thereby increasing their chances of securing better loan terms in the future. BadCreditLoans.com serves as a beacon of hope for those with bad credit. Simple, fast, and reliable loan application process. And its commitment to responsible borrowing makes it a trusted partner in the journey towards financial stability.
The Pete Sousa Show rolls on, presented by Slovacic's Baylor Baseball Big 12 Tournament. They play at 4 o'clock today against Oklahoma State. It is a win or go home for the Brazos boys. They need to bring their best stuff, right? I saw earlier today Tyreek Kemp, the shortstop, first team All Big 12 shortstop, probably the best shortstop in college baseball. And he started to hit this year. Tyreek Kemp is a machine. That's a reason to watch in itself. Okay, basketball. We stick with the Big 12. Villanova and BYU. They are going to open their season playing each other. That game will be in Vegas, okay? And also, too, you notice from that graphic, you see Kevin Willard and the great A.J. DeBonsa. That game's going to be on Turner, right? Right now it's going to be on TNT Sports. So here's the good news, BYU fans and Villanova fans. This is going to have a huge game feel. And what I mean by that is, don't be surprised if you turn your television on and, lucky for you, you don't have to listen to Pete Sousa call that game on ESPNU or ESPN Plus. You'll be probably watching Kevin Harlan or Spiro Ditas, right, call that game. Maybe Ian Eagle. Like, think about that. That will have a huge feel for that. BYU, primetime. It's on a Monday night. It's part of a doubleheader. And here's some more good news. I think that it'll be an absolute rout. Villanova is really, really finding their footing. It's funny, too, because I was back home in Philadelphia. I grew up in Villanova, was walking around the block with my elderly mom. We're walking her pup. Mom can't do it alone anymore, so the big guys home are doing it together. And we go by the general manager for Villanova's basketball program's house, Baker Dunleavy. And I actually have known Baker through some mutual connections, but I know his wife. I played high school basketball for his wife's dad, Tom Inglesby. Amazing family. Tom Ingleby's the man. Martin Inglesby is now a head coach in college basketball, I think, at Delaware. Anyways, great family. Cool to talk to Baker. He came out. His kids were amazing. But we were talking about college hoops, and he was like, we're working on, early season schedule, like some power players. Now, at that time, he obviously knew this was going to be released. This was on, I guess, Friday or Saturday. Now we get the news late yesterday. This is a huge opportunity for Villanova. I think it will show just how much better the Big 12 is than the Big East. And I think Villanova, as they try to find their footing, I get the feel this could be like Baylor going to Gonzaga, right? Like early last year where it was just a complete romp. Now that game was really more of a home game for Gonzaga, as this game could be too. You know, like Salt Lake City, Provo, and we know, Church of Latter-day Saints people are everywhere. We have learned that thanks to BYU fans. But, yeah, that'll be an awesome opportunity for Villanova to maybe get a quad one win and for BYU to show their stuff. Kevin Young, the biggest rumors around Kevin Young now is like how long will he stay at BYU, because there are NBA, some of those amazing NBA relationships that have helped players come to BYU, right? A player like Rob Wright who wants that development. There's a reason for that, because it's very real. Kevin Young is amazing, and some NBA organization may want some of that, specifically his Suns or his former team, the Suns. So I know we're going to be warding off rumors and stuff like that all year long for BYU. One last cool note about BYU, and I love stories like this. We talk about A.J. DeBonsa, right? $7 million man, whatever, he's getting paid. Worth every penny. Pretty cool that a school for us, a school in the Big 12, is able to put that together. Cannot wait to see him show out, and can't wait for it to all start in that game against Villanova on Monday night, November 3rd. Read this today, okay? Now think of all the accolades for DeBonsa. 2023 FIBA under-16 gold medalist, 2023 Massachusetts Gatorade Player of the Year, 2023 NBPA Top 100 Camp All-Star. That's a big deal. 2024 Nike Peach Jam Offensive MVP, 2025 McDonald's All-American, ESPN's top-ranked recruit in the country in 2025, obviously. AJ does not have his driver's license yet. He's working on it. So he's got all that hardware, all those accolades, but doesn't have his driver's license yet. I'd be like, yo, dude, don't hurry. Like, first of all, Provo's beautiful, and it's probably even better looking as a passenger from a back seat of a Range Rover for whoever's driving you around. You are precious cargo. Let somebody else drive. I have no issue, if I'm a BYU fan, with him not driving for the rest of eternity. But I thought that story was pretty cool. And look forward to that game. Like I've said many times, big-time Villanova guy. I'm really looking forward to seeing how Kevin Willard and that new-look Villanova team will test against BYU, who is just going to be better and better and better when you consider BYU brings back the likes of Richie Saunders and brings in guys like DeBonsa and then Rob Wright as a stabilizing force running point. And, the head of the snake is Kevin Young. So going to be an uphill battle for any opponent against the Cougars this year. But for Villanova, it starts early. But a really cool thread for that game. And as a basketball fan, no shade. It's not going to be on ESPN. That's fine. Ultimately that could maybe eat into like a game that I might do, but it's for the greater good of the game, right? We'd rather hear Kevin Harlan open up that one than Pete Sousa. So pretty cool move for college basketball. All right, that's it for today. We will be back tomorrow. Anything else, Scotty, we missed?
Kelvin Sampson got a new deal. Scotty B told us up top.
Yeah. And I mentioned that. What's Scotty B say?
4-year contract extension.
All right, over under. How many of those years does he coach? Over under. Let's say 2 years. Over under.
Over.
Over 2.
I think so.
Wow.
You don't?
I say it's a push. I say after 2 years he moves on. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, just because I think
his picture's behind you there on our set, so I had to make sure we got to that.
That's literally 15 minutes before I got engaged. There's Christy right there. She doesn't know what's going on. I got a ring burning a hole in my pocket, and it was kind of a bumbling idiot type scene afterwards, but we got the job done, right? All right, the Pete Sousa Show marches on. We will be back tomorrow. King McClure, we're going to have him on Friday. We're going to talk NBA draft and all that's going on with the transfer portal. Not quite sure if we're going to have a guest tomorrow or not. We had a guest Monday and Tuesday. I just love being able to vibe in the studio. We got a lot of stuff we got to hit. At some point, we're probably going to have to make this show longer. Like, subscribe, please. We appreciate it. We love it. Have a great day.
It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference because my stress level, when we shut down, to afterwards was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning, so we love Extraco.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at 70 miles an hour. I was injured, had a concussion. The insurance company, they delayed. They were playing games from the initial conversation. They weren't going to help me. The biggest thing I learned through this is that you can't go through this alone. I called Daniel Stark. They were going to help me and everything was going to be all right. Daniel Stark got me 10 times the insurance company offered.
The difference is stark.
We are Rogue Media Sports.